Scooby-Doo, Scooby-Doo, Scooby-Doo.
On this episode of the History of the Course podcast with Curtis and Josh, we finish our look at the band from Long Island, New York, known as Brand New. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at IsSurvivedByPro for news and latest episode postings. And make sure to subscribe to the show, leave us a 5-star review, and write us a comment on YouTube or whatever podcast service you're using. Make sure to check us out on TikTok and give us a follow at IsSurvivedByProductions. And if you'd like to see us do some live streams, leave us a comment or tweet us the keyword stream. Now, without further ado, let's start the show.
The devil is in Atlanta, army surrounded.
It's time to get the seeds into the cold ground. It takes a while to grow anything before it's coming to an end. Before you put my body in the cold ground, take some time to warm it with your hand before it's coming to an end. Yeah. Welcome back to the History of the Course podcast, sponsored by the Church of the Seventh Track, where each and every episode we take a look at the history of a band from the core genre. I'm Curtis, and with me, as always, is my co-host, and he's healthy now. He's not sick anymore. Josh, were those lyrics creepy enough for you?
They're all creepy.
Repressed, sexually repressed.
Yes.
Come on, man.
It's
cold.
hard.
Warm my body.
Knowing what we know, it's hard to not hear it in every lyric.
Yeah.
It is tough. It's tough.
How you feeling?
A lot better.
What did you
I
have?
was dead
Jaundice?
last weekend. No, not jaundice. I don't know. I think I probably had like maybe some strain of the flu or something, because I was throwing up a bunch and had a fever
delicious.
for like a
wonderful.
couple days. Couldn't eat anything. Nose and throat and
Blood and diarrhea. And
all good.
it's great. I'm diarrhea and I'm pissing out blood. I don't know what's going on with me.
What's happening to me?
What's happening to me? Cool, man. Glad you're back. It always feels weird coming back after a 1 week hiatus.
I know, yeah, I feel out of sync.
It's like, here we go. We gotta get back into the groove. So let's stack some days, Josh. Let's stack some weeks here. You want to?
Let's do it.
Let's get back in the groove. Alrighty, Josh, I'll let you start off. As always, what did you listen to this last week or two? 4 or 5.
So I listened to a lot of stuff, but I just wanted to highlight 3 different things here.
Ooh.
Okay, so I think I've talked about the one in the middle before. This is my favorite No Doubt album. It's Tragic Kingdom.
Okay.
And I will argue that that's the best No Doubt album until the day I die. And then over on this side, this is Newfound Glory. They did a couple of albums called From the Screen to the, or From the Stage to the Screen. Yeah. And they did a couple of them. And
no,
this
from
is
the, what does
From
that
the
say?
Screen
From
to the Stage?
To your stereo. From the screen to your stereo.
Screen to your stereo.
There you go. Yeah. I was trying to read it.
But they did a couple of them. And this is the second one. A lot of them are. So on the first one, it feels more like movie, like a main themes from movies. So like the main theme from A Never-Ending Story is on the first one. This one has a lot more songs that were just popular songs in the 90s that made it into 90s movies.
Okay.
It reminds me a lot of the 4 Year Strong album, Explains It All, where they just cover a bunch of 90s songs from bands that were big influences of theirs. So
Okay. Oh,
How long has it been since you listened to a Newfound Glory album?
yeah. At least a year.
Okay.
Yeah, it's been a little bit.
I feel like I pretty regularly listen to Sticks and Stones
Mm.
and Catalyst.
I was thinking about them the other day. Does that count? They
Sure.
did pop up in my mind.
It's yeah, it's partial credit.
Why? I don't remember, but they did.
What was what's the newest album you've listened to by them? Did you listen
Uh,
to um Ascension Resurrection?
hmm, how long ago was that one?
That one would have been like 2013,
Uh, it's
14.
funny. It's like I was telling Eric just a while ago. Said anything pre-COVID, you can forget about it.
What the
In
hell?
terms of in terms of
That's
my
like two
memory.
years ago.
I know, but in terms of my memory, it's just like, ah, man, I don't remember much before. And there was like several things today where like people were like, yeah, you were helping me with this and you drove me over here a couple of years ago. And I'm like, yeah, I don't remember that at all.
Oh my God.
I would, yeah, I want to say yes, but I
It's
don't
the
know.
one that
I
has
mean, I
that
always,
feature with Haley Williams too on Vicious Love.
oh, okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And that'd be the one then, yeah.
That
But
would
I
be the
always,
most recent probably for
yeah,
you.
I
Okay.
I always go back to though, the classic Sticks and Stones, just because the more like nostalgia though, bro.
Yeah.
It's,
Yeah.
it's
Sticks
got
and
that pop
Stones
punk
and
summer good vibes.
yeah, Sticks and Stones and Catalyst. That's the two best ones for me.
What's the one right behind you with the guy standing on top of your head?
Well, he's not
Okay.
standing on top of my head. He is
Well,
hanging
he's
from a
not
tree
now.
behind my head.
You were saving him, then you pulled him away, and now he's dangling from a tree. Thanks a lot.
This this is one of the darker album covers that I may have ever seen as far as just like message goes.
Who is it?
Because well, you'd think it's somebody that's probably like crazy heavy, right?
To be honest, it kind of makes me think of almost not really a pop punk, but I don't know. It kind of does give me almost gives me like a Day to Remember vibe.
Okay.
I don't know why.
Um, this is a band called Amity Affliction.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, do you know them?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is Chasing Ghosts. It
Okay.
was their second full length, I believe. But for some reason the other day, I just had one of those songs from this album pop in my head, and I listened to the whole album, and I was like, oh man, these guys really had really like the first two albums are really solid. The third is okay, but that was a band that
What
kind of started to fall apart after that.
what year was this that album
Chasing
came out?
Ghosts.
Mm.
Oh God.
Or was it
Let me
early in their
check here real
discography?
quick. Yeah.
Okay. Like one of their first ones?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, this was their second full length. Boop, boo.
Now, am I seeing the full thing though, like at the top? I mean, do you actually see his head on the album cover?
No,
Or is it just stop right there? Okay.
that's the top, yeah.
Maybe he's just jumping in the air. Maybe he's ascending.
Yeah, maybe. I know those arms are pretty limp.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And just based on what I know about the
Uh,
album, I don't think so.
it's kind of a poorly placed tree too, if that's just what he's doing. It's like, I got a grand idea.
Chase
Let's put a tree behind him. Be like, yeah, that doesn't look weird at all.
Chasing Ghosts was in 2012.
Oh, okay.
Um Youngbloods was well, I guess that was just the first album I heard them on. They do have they have another album called Severed Ties, which is in 2008. So that would have been when a lot of stuff like this was kind of coming up a little bit.
Right.
It's a little more polished, slightly more melodic. Their bassist does all the clean vocals, and then their main vocalist does all the uncleans. But it's pretty split. Like there's just as much singing as there is screaming. So,
Okay.
but yeah, I would definitely recommend them. They cast a pretty big net. I feel like I've never known somebody who I thought would be into them who didn't like them. So it's it's kind of arena core-ish, but there are a lot of gang vocals and stuff. So
Yeah, I think Eric's seeing them this summer. I can't remember if they're coming to town though or not. I don't think they are. I think he's going out of town to see them.
okay.
But yeah,
I liked Let the Ocean Take Me To, which was the one after that. But then beyond that, yeah, I didn't I think I listened to most of This Could Be Heartbreak. I haven't listened to Misery. So I don't know. I might give them another chance, but I do think they've had some lineup changes. It looks like they have lost at least one or two people.
Hmm. Okay, cool. Not without my ghost. Whoa,
Not my ghost.
not my ghost. No, no, no. Cool, man. Good selection there.
What about you?
Question for you, Josh.
No.
Did you? Okay. You answer my question. Did you ever listen to a band back in the day called Project 86?
Project 86.
They've been
Not that I
around
can
since like the
remember.
90s.
Okay.
Why did I not have that pulled up here? Okay, hold on a second. I remember, I mean, it was one of those bands that like I never really listened to, but I knew of them. I heard their name a lot. Um, let's see, they've been around since 1996. Tons of lineup changes, obviously. Um, they like their early stuff is more like I think post-hardcore. Let's see here. If I can pull up their first album or first couple. Um, yeah, like their early stuff's more built on like post-hardcore, new metal, stuff like that. Well, they put out a new album last year, and it's the one that's right behind me. And it's called Omni Part 1. And it's kind of picture Oh Sleeper's Titan EP, that whole story. Remember like the big story that was with that? It was almost like too much description.
Yeah. It's
That's
the
basically,
corporation. The
yeah, that's
corporation, man.
basically what this is. There's
Oh
there's a
God. Of
huge storyline to it.
course there is.
And I mean, to be honest, like I read it and I was like, okay, I
You
mean,
only you only get to do that if you're going to spread it out over your discography. I better not
so
hear some 20-page paper written on one album.
well, so this is the one behind me. It's called Omni Part 1. They just put out, I think they either just put out or they're about to put out Omni Part 2, and they're both full lengths. Um, but anyway, I read the description, the premise of the story, and I was kind of like, okay, it's kind of interesting. I mean, like I said, combine that with I've always known the band, but I've never like really listened to them. And apparently, this is supposed to be like genre wise, they go more gent, industrial, deathcore, metalcore on this album and the next one. So it's kind of a departure from their original sound. And the other cool thing too, I thought was interesting was I think it's let's see, four of four of the guys, four of the five guys from Norma Jean, including Brandon, um, or Corey, did or helped write this album. and record it, which
Oh.
I can hear the influence on that. It's kind of interesting.
Hmm.
Um, I like the beginning of it. I felt like it started out really good, but it's like I was telling Eric, I said, I got to about like halfway through the album and it all just like started like sounding the same. Like it almost like every song almost like had a pattern to it that was like, here's the equation, just kind of like copy and paste almost, you know? And I
Okay.
just kind of kept waiting for it to like pick up again, and it just never really did for me. So I don't know. It was just kind of an interesting listen, especially like I said, for a band that I've known for most of my life, but never really listened to and decided, hey, I'm going to try this one, see what happens. So I'll be interested to hear what the next one sounds like. I can't remember if it's out yet or not, though, the part two. Um, but yeah, I immediately thought of the Titan EP from O Sleeper. I was like, okay, this is a little too much description. And I'm almost like I'm
Too
okay with
much.
like those stories like that, but don't give me like you said, this essay of what the story is like. Here's just like give me like a little tiny little piece of something to kind of like at least have like a foundation and let me build the rest of the story by listening to the album, you know, and
Yeah.
figuring it out on my own and filling in the pieces. But anyway,
Or
yeah.
the classic was it Shipwrecked in the Sand or something like that? I can't remember the name of that album.
Basically every album from Silverstein that he said, yeah, this is a concept album. No, it's not. No, no. Because there were several times that we were like, where's the concept? This is a bunch of different songs. And even he came out and was like, yeah, it's a concept album with a bunch of different little stories here and there. It's like, that's not a concept album. So anyway, yeah, that's what I listened to this week. Alrighty, Josh. Anything else to talk about before we? Oh, no, I do have something to tell you, Josh.
Do
I
you? I
don't,
also have something to tell you.
uh-oh, you go first.
Okay. Well, I don't know if you've seen the announcement, but tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. I might be eating crow.
I
So
was just about to tell you the same thing,
we'll
man.
we'll see
But
if
I wasn't so much I wasn't so much like in your face. I was more just like I'm scared. I don't and I told Eric earlier I was
we're
like if this is
releasing
a
another single.
well I told Eric I was like if this is a tour announcement, I'm gonna punch my computer. I'm gonna punch something or someone. I mean, this is
Nobody
it.
be near
This
me tomorrow at 10
Yeah,
a.m.
exactly. I told Eric, I said, this is it, man. This is the final straw. If it's not an album, if it's not an album announcement, I'm
If it's an
done, dude.
album, I will happily eat crow, but
Okay. Yeah. What if it's a single?
I'm gonna be pretty upset too. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I'll
might
be a
lose my
little
freaking
upset. I'll
mind.
listen to it, but I'll be a little upset. And if
Yeah.
it's not, and if it's just like, hey, we're going back on tour, or hey, we're playing this festival, or God forbid, hey, we got some new merch out, I'm gonna lose it. I'm gonna lose it, man. Yeah.
I
Anyway,
feel like
that's funny.
it can't be a new album. We've been burned too many times.
I just wonder though. I don't know. We'll find out tomorrow morning. That's funny though that we both had the same thing. That's great. All right, man. We're twins. Yeah,
Twins.
twins. Off by about 4 years, but that's okay.
Dude, I can't hear my music. I
Sounds
usually
like a
like
personal problem.
listen to the albums like while we're doing this, and for some
What's
reason it's like,
is your volume turned down on your actual computer though? Like on the in the Spotify app?
no.
Hmm. Maybe your headphones are broken.
See, and I don't know why my headphones are connected here, like they're working.
Yeah, you
Let me
can
make
hear me and
sure.
everything. That's weird.
Oh, huh.
Problem solved.
Perhaps. Let me go back over
The
here.
the inner workings of the History of the Course podcast, behind the scenes. Get a glimpse at our idiocracy. How do I turn this computer on? Where's the
All
start
right.
button? Good.
We're good. We're
All
good.
right.
It's
What's
the
what
fastest we've ever resolved an issue like that.
what band are you listening to, Josh?
Brand new.
Brand new. Why,
Yeah.
that's the band we're going to talk about today, Josh. Nice segue. Nice. All right, let's finish it up, Josh, with the uncomfortable parts. In
I'm not
2005,
getting into that.
well,
I mean,
no, it's
we're already in the uncomfortable parts because apparently this started as early as like 2002.
I was gonna say, hasn't the whole thing been uncomfortable?
Yes, the whole thing has now been
Mm.
tainted for me.
So the last where we left off, Deja Entendu, smash hit, smashing.
Smashing.
Now we are here in 2005, in which the band would add Derek Sherman, who contributed keys, guitar work, and backing vocals mainly for touring purposes, but he would also contribute to the recording of their next two albums. So kind of got a fifth member, a ghost member, if you want to call it. After signing with Interscope Records, formerly DreamWorks Records, the band would continue to tour nonstop, feeding off the hype they had received from their first two albums. That's Your Favorite Weapon and Deja Entendu. The band was slowly preparing new songs for their next release, as vocalist Jesse Lacey stated the new album would, quote, move into new territory for Brand New. The band would enter their studio in late 2005 to start laying the foundation of their third record. And by January 2006, that foundation, 9 demo tracks, had leaked onto the internet. Not the interwebs. In response to the leak, bassist Garrett Tierney, he's grabbing, stated, quote, I would say it did it in a good way because so many people were curious to hear what we have been doing. And for the most part, the record tracks don't sound anything like the leaked demos. Lacey, though, on the other hand, was not so upbeat about the leak, as he reflected years later, saying, quote, for me, it was different. It had me pretty down for a while. No one likes to show their creation in mid-process, and those songs weren't done. They were like blueprints, just the plan, right? It put me in a state where I was under the impression that those songs had been wasted or something, that we had to go and write new songs because those had been heard. Now, in retrospect, I want those songs to be on the album, and many of them aren't. And I'm probably more to blame for that than anyone else. This record already feels incomplete to me without those tracks and probably will forever. Wah, 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 depression. Now, Josh, what would be released, most agree, would be their most critically acclaimed album in their discography, 2006's The Devil and God Are Raging Inside of Me from Interscope Records. Produced once again by Mike Sapone. We talked about him in the previous episode. Originally, the band was set to work with producer Dennis Herring, who did work with Josh's favorite band, Counting Crows, Jars of Clay, Modest Mouse, Ben Folds, Never Shout Never, etc., etc., etc. God, you love you some Counting Crows, don't you, Josh?
They're okay. I don't know if I love them.
That was a joke. That was a joke.
Yeah, they got some
Uh,
okay tracks.
you pave paradise. You put up a parking lot,
That's not
Josh.
one of them.
Ooh, bop, bop,
That,
bop,
that
ooh,
is
bop,
not one
bop,
of them.
bop.
Talking about like This Town.
Yeah.
That's a
Yeah.
great Counting Crow
Yeah.
song.
Devil and God Are Raging Inside of Me debuted at number 31 on the Billboard 200, selling 60,000 copies in its first week of sales. And by 2022, it was certified gold. That's gold, Jerry, in the US, selling over 500,000 copies. NME would rank it number 74 in its top 100 greatest albums of the decade, while Sputnik Music ranked it number 20 in its top 100 albums of the decade. Many music publications have announced it as one of the best albums of the decade and credited as one of the most important and influential albums by fellow musicians and critics in its genre. Subject matters on the album include existentialism, death, depression, and religion. During the writing and
Oh,
recording
you
sessions,
forgot
all
you forgot the angry
repressed
repressed sex
sex.
stuff. Yeah.
That's hidden, tucked away underneath.
Okay.
Um, read between the lines, and it's there. It's plain to see. During the writing and recording sessions, all four members of the band suffered several deaths by friends and families, which influenced the final product of the album. Along with the personal losses, vocalist Jesse Lacey suffered from depression during the writing and recording of the album due to his major anxiety over the quote, hype of the album at the present time. The name of the album came from a conversation Jesse Lacey had with a friend regarding Daniel Johnston, a musician who suffered from schizophrenia and bipolar disorder. Yeah, cool. Uh,
Sick, sick.
sick. Quote, the phrase itself was pretty cool, and reading it somewhere else would be striking. So that was what drew me to it. But listening back to the album, I realized how much it represents quiet and loud, the good and evil, but it also has a lot to do with faith and some spiritual aspects of the band. In a positive review, Pierre Scarofruvi, blah, 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 praised how, quote, the sonic quality is worthy of Pink Floyd, and guitarist Accardi especially shines as an atmospheric sound painter. Ooh, painting.
Ooh.
Little happy trees, little happy trees. Few bands have changed so dramatically in the course of just 3 albums. While Channing Freeman of Sputnik Music gave the album a perfect 5 out of 5 stars, praising Limousine as Lacey's best song lyrically and a quote pinnacle of modern songwriting, along with De Geyser, Sowing Season, and You Won't Know, while also stating that the album quote features one of the largest progressions I have ever seen from a band. Most bands don't show that sort of growth even once throughout their career, but Brand New has done it twice. Not once, but twice. Songs on this album include Sowing Season, yeah, Milestone, Jesus, De Geyser, Limousine, You Won't Know, Welcome to Bangkok, Not the Sun, Luca, The Archers, Bows Have Broken, and the finale, Handcuffs. Josh, what do you think about the depressing, dark, and sometimes sexually repressed album, The Devil and God Are Raging Inside Me?
I forgot how much I really like this album.
It's a good album, man.
Yeah.
It's a good
And
album.
it's probably been at least 10 years since I've listened to this album.
Woo! Okay.
Yeah, if I go
Okay.
back to the
Okay.
brand new well, it's usually Your Favorite Weapon or Deja Entendu.
Right.
Um,
That's the pop punk in you, bro. That's the pop punk in you.
yeah, and it's been a really long time since I went back to this one. In my memory, this one was a lot like, I don't know, a lot slower. Like there were a lot of songs I got to that I was like, oh my God, like I forgot about this.
Hmm.
Um, Degasser is my favorite song on the album.
Okay.
I really like the gang vocals in that one.
Yeah.
Pretty good. Um, I feel like this album is, while I think it's probably, if you go song by song, it's probably better than Deja Entendu. But the I lost my thought. I don't remember where I was going
Yeah.
with that.
Yeah, so close.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I mean if you stacked it up against Deja Entendu, it probably is the better album. And I can see why there was so much hype around it at the time, you know.
Boy, that's tough though, man. To say one's better than the other. Because man, they're both so good.
They are both really good. I mean, all the way up through this album, that's probably their strongest block.
Yeah.
Even listening back through, Daisy was a lot stronger than I remember it being. It doesn't really go off the rails until science fiction, and then yeah, we're kind of at a point where like, okay, this is not going to come back the other way. Like this is only going to continue to go in this direction.
Right. Well, but the other thing too is especially by the time that they put out science fiction, well, writing it and putting it out, they knew that that was going to be their final one, that they
Yeah.
weren't going to do anything after that. So it's almost kind of like get all your artistic, ways about you. Get it out
Yeah.
now, whatever's left, get it out there, you know. So I don't know. And I almost kind of feel like sometimes like when a band knows that that's like the end is coming like that, like I don't know, it's weird. They get really kind of artsy, you know.
Yeah, I
Things
mean,
kind of
if you
like
know
slow
it's
down. It's kind of
over,
like,
like why not try something you've never tried, I guess. But
yeah, I don't know.
also too, I like the thought a lot more of going out at your height, you know? Like
Right.
you don't
Well, and
want to
that's
be
that's the
remembered
other
for science fiction. You want to be remembered for the devil and God are raging inside me, you know?
right. That's the other thing too, is like don't I feel like don't go into like a recording like that and knowing, okay, this is the last album that we're gonna do. Like let it be organic. I mean,
Hmm.
release an album and then like do some touring. And if you don't feel like I don't want to do this anymore, then call it quits there. But don't be like, yeah, we know that it's 2015 right now, and we know that our final year together is going to be 2018. So slap that on a t-shirt and put it out there,
Yeah.
which is what they did.
Oh my God.
But yeah, so so it's kind of like they just I don't know, because then it's almost like you put yourself up against a wall that's just like I don't know, you're putting yourself in a bad place,
Yeah.
in a tough spot. Now you got to match that energy because everybody knows that this is it. This is their final one. And it's either going to be really good or it's going to be really bad or really disappointing or whatever. So, yeah.
What's your favorite track on this one?
Man, the guys is really good. I love the opener though for sewing season.
Hmm.
That's a good one. And it's got there's several lines in there that are stolen from one of my favorite poems. Trying to remember what the parts were. It's in the first verse. I'm on the spot and I can't think of it right off the top of my head. But
I thought it was one of your favorite poems.
huh?
I said I thought it was one of your
It
favorite
is, but
poems.
I'm talking
I'm
about
just
I'm talking about
joking.
it's just like
Is it the was losing all my
uh,
friends, was losing them to drinking and
no,
driving?
it's the part right after that.
Um,
Um
at least now I can say that I'm trying, visiting you
yeah.
now to barely hear the truth that
There you
you've
go, that's it right
spoken.
there. Yeah. Twisted up by knaves to make a trap for fools.
Okay.
And then what you gave you well, no, what is it? What's it after that?
To watch the things you gave your
To give your
life
life
to
to
broken.
broken, stoop and build them up to worn out tools. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Gotcha.
And then the part where he just goes, yeah. I mean, that just gets me every time, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what kind of vibes I'm feeling the further this goes along, though? They do feel in places very Manchester Orchestra-y.
They're like best friends, bro.
Are they?
Yeah. They're, of course, I've talked about it before. It's like Andy Hall, like he knows everybody. I've seen him on a podcast with Kesha one time. So, I mean, this dude just like knows everybody and their dog.
Yeah.
So, um, but yeah, him and Jesse, I think, are pretty close. Well, we're pretty close. I'm not really sure how many people are really close with him anymore
Right.
since,
Right.
yeah.
Try
But
to put some
anyway,
distance there.
yeah, try to scoot away. I
Yeah.
want, yeah. But anyway, sewing season's good. This is going to be one of those where, because this is probably my favorite album that
Okay.
they have. So this is probably going to end up being one of those where I just name off every single song on there. One time I did see a theory that somebody had that it's just kind of weird to say, but like some people really thought that the album really started at Welcome to Bangkok and then runs through Handcuffs and then you start over with Sewing Season. So like your final song would be You Won't Know. I don't know. It's just kind of a weird theory.
I mean, that
Um,
might have been the way they had originally written it out.
maybe. Yeah.
That'd be interesting to listen to it like that.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, it's gonna be one of those where I'm just gonna name off every song on there. It's got a nice, really nice flow to it from song to song. I'm trying to think. I don't really think there's really any, maybe one or two cutoffs here and there between songs, but you know me, I do like a good flowing album, like a nice river
Hmm.
flowing into an ocean.
The flow is important.
Um, yeah. If I had to pick one though, that was like my top favorite, I would probably say either Sowing Season or You Won't Know. That man, when the way that they come in on You Won't Know, which is like the full band, is just like ah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do a lot of
They've
interesting
they've
things on this album.
yeah. Well, I've always enjoyed not just on this album, but like even like on Daisy and even before, like on Deja, like the layered screams that they have, man, are like just gnarly. It's good like harmonic screams, you know?
Yeah.
So that's one thing that always kind of drew me into Brand New was those layered screams like that. But yeah. Anything else, Josh? Are you ready to dive deeper into madness?
Yeah. Yeah, let's take our medicine.
Well, let's get this over with. Success for their newest album brought the band to perform on late night shows such as Late Night with Conan O'Brien and The Late Show with David Letterman. The band would tour the States in support of their new album as well as abroad in Canada, Europe, and Australia, as well as headlining spot on the UK's Give It a Name festival, playing the main
Don't
stage.
don't mind me. You just keep going there.
I'm scared. Okay. Anyway, the band would tour the States in support of their new album, as well as abroad in Canada, Europe, and Australia, as well as headlining UK's Give It a Name festival, playing the main stage at the Bamboozle Festival, as well as the Big Day Out Festival. The group found themselves gracing the cover of Rock Sound Kerrang, as well as features in NME in alternative press. The hype once again, Josh, is real. Well, it's real. The band would release a new single entitled Fork and Knife, which was a re recording of the track entitled Untitled 7 from the leaked demos. Heading back into the studio to record their next album, Jesse Lacey would comment on the upcoming album's content, Kerrang, saying, quote, "It's a pretty exhausting record. It's quite dense, and I think some of the decisions we made don't always go in the most obvious direction. We were thinking a lot more about what we'd want to play when we were up on stage rather than actually what you'd want to hear on a record." That album, Josh, as he uses the restroom, it's a wild guess, 2009's Daisy from Inner Scope Records. Produced once again by Mike Zapone. Daisy was actually originally titled And One Head Can Never Die. Kind of an interesting name. When Josh gets back, we'll ask him what he thinks about that title, that working title. Daisy debuted at number 6 on the Billboard 200, selling 46,000 copies in its first week of sales. A little less than 20,000, well, about 14,000 less than What the Devil and God did in its first week of sales. Guitarist Vincent Accardi would contribute more lyrics to the album than from their previous albums combined. So he's starting to kind of get to play around a little more. Interested in what you think about that here in just a moment too, Josh. Well, actually, while we're on the topic, Josh, let me ask you, what do you think of this working title that they had for Daisy? It was originally titled "And One Head Can Never Die."
Um,
Ooh, mysterious.
God damn, I got the hiccup. Sorry. Um, that's that's a little too busy.
Yeah, a little too much. A little too
Yeah,
much.
Daisy's fine. I like a
So I
nice one
mentioned,
word title.
yeah, I mentioned I don't have which songs in front of me. I do know he did in a jar. I know he wrote the lyrics on that one for sure. But their guitarist, Vincent Accardi, is going to contribute more lyrics to this album than from their previous albums. So I'm kind of interested in what you think about that, or if you could even
Okay,
tell.
okay.
Whoa. The band looked to channel their live performance as well as the noise of bands such as Fugazi, Polvo, Sonic Youth, My Bloody Valentine, and the Jesus Lizard in order to produce the raw and often chaotic sound of the album. Fans were left divided on their reception of the album as drummer Brian Lane commented that their fans either loved it or hated it. Did you love it, Josh, or did you hate it?
Honestly, I was one of the rare ones who are probably in the middle there.
You and me both.
Because
The
there are some good tracks on here,
mm,
and they always like kind of come back. Like when I'm at the point where I'm like, I don't
they
know.
come back with one, yeah.
Yeah, they come back with one that kind of reels me back in.
I think it was AFI. No, was it AFI? It was either AF. I can't remember what band it was. It may have been AFI. You had said before that it's sometimes it's hard to hate an album when it has a pattern like that, where it's like you got a bad song, you're like, but then it picks back up with a good song, you're like, okay, and then like it goes back down, and you're like, and you're like, yeah, you know.
Yeah, did I say that about Crash Love?
That's why I was wondering if it was it was one of their newer-ish albums after December Underground. Probably
Yeah,
Crash Love.
Crash or maybe Blood.
Yeah. But anyway, I just when you started saying that, it made me
Yeah,
think of
it
that.
it it makes it harder to turn it off like immediately.
Right.
I always, and I
Especially when
didn't,
they're short songs.
yeah, I didn't, I think probably so far the only album that I have just turned off, like while we've been doing this, has been the last album by Alexis on Fire. I got like
Oh, you're
halfway
talking about okay, with
through
all the battles.
that
Okay.
piece of crap and I was like, I'm out.
What
I'm out. This is
garbage?
terrible.
What garbage?
But everything else I have made my way through. That last He Is Legend album was not fantastic,
Push
especially the
through.
back half of it.
Yeah.
And I pushed through it. So I mean I did listen to probably Daisy's in the same place for me that Devil and God was, where I have not listened to this album for like 10 years.
Right.
And I think I probably, saw that Brand New had a new album out, and so I gave it a listen.
Right.
But at the bottom, that was a song that I definitely like recognized. Like, oh, okay. I was
Like,
like, yep,
oh,
I remember
yeah.
this song. So there is a lot of good stuff on this album, but
Did
it's
they
just not as strong as Devil and God, and you kind of start to feel it fading. Like
yeah,
the light's starting to go out a little bit. Like there's still some gems here, but they are mostly on, I would say, the first half of the album.
right. Do you think that they captured the sound that they were going for? That raw, kind of chaotic sound?
Yeah, I mean, as much as you can with what they
Yeah.
make,
Right.
I mean, what's raw and chaotic about a super calm drum beat and
Right. Yeah.
playing the same two chords for half the song. What's raw and chaotic about that, That's
That's
not,
brutal, bro.
raw and chaotic. Okay, that's the Chariot. That's, wars and rumors of wars.
Oh, don't get me started.
But when they do kick it up and it like gets a little bit heavier, it does sound more raw than their older stuff. Like their
Yeah, I'm
older
not
stuff is a lot more polished for
right.
sure.
I'm asking more of like songs like At the Bottom, like um Sink, not You Stole. That's a
Right.
very slow and kind of
Yes.
kind of
Yeah.
drone,
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and At the Bottom feels like it feels like you're listening in on like a jam session.
Right. Hmm.
So yeah. And like I said, a lot of their stuff in previous albums was very polished. Your favorite weapon, like, yes, that is heavily produced.
Right.
Tejon Tendu,
Yeah.
heavily produced. So this does feel a lot more raw, like we're using less mics. Yeah,
Right. Less
So
post-production,
yeah.
you know. Cool. Okay, the band had stated that they had become bored with performing their older material and looked to write songs that were different from their norm. Guitarist Acardi commented that, quote, after Devil and God, the structures of songs were a bit more complex and things were a little bit delicate. I think we all just had a great urge to try to write simple, loud rock songs and just get the point across immediately. While vocalist slash guitarist Jesse Lacey commented that being signed to a major label, Interscope Records, also shaped the sessions. Quote, we thought it'd be more interesting to put a very uncommercial record out on a very commercial label. While also commenting on the writing process for the album, saying, quote, Daisy was just the venting of anxiety of letting go and doing the right thing for us personally and as a band. It's a very hard way to do something, but it is the best way. There's a lot of pent up emotion that goes into owning up to who you are, what you are doing, and the choices you are making. So, Daisy was us rejoicing in that. Brian Schultz of punknews.org wrote in his review of the album, quote, to say hype surrounds the release of brand new's Daisy is an inordinate an understatement as the actual record itself. A little more immediate than 2006's The Devil and God Are Raging Inside Me, and considerably more economical, taking 14 minutes shorter here. Daisy nonetheless continues further down the darker, deliberate path set by the monstrous, solemn record. With each passing studio full length, the number of upbeat songs Brand New have respectively placed on their albums has dissipated, and Daisy is clearly no exception. Compared to Devil and God, the dynamics of the record are much, much more obvious and upfront when strangely invigorating opener Vices transitions from a curiously long, sampled sermon recording of Bertrand Brown's On Life's Highway circa 1922 into an absolutely jarring and jolting rhythmic blast. Bassist Garrett Tierney and drummer Brian Lane absolutely bring it here. A thumping rhythm section that provides a pleasantly cloying foundation to the noisiest, most intense song in the band's canon yet. Vocalist Jesse Lacey screaming cryptic musings and creepily singing self-interrogatives while guitarist Accardi adds broken chords and fractured riffs. It's like the Jesus Lizard at their best, informed by post-hardcore discordance with uncomfortable undercurrents of melody bleeding through it all. What the hell was that? The hell was all of those words together? Garbage. He finished his review by saying, quote, it's said that for the first time in the band's career, Accardi handled the majority of the songwriting. If that's true for certain tracks, his lyrical foundations sometimes fall short of the band's potential. Daisy's metaphors strangely blunt, curt, and a little repetitive, but sometimes perfect for the procedure. You Stole is a breathy, somber 6-minute conversation of common, crutched phrases into a vague critique of self or otherwise. I wish that my condition was new, but I'm old and rusting. I pretend like I got something to say, but I've got nothing. From the cradles they were robbed in, you took the first words that they spoke. Yeah, you stole. This album is not the game changer critics and fans may have expected, but it's an unquestionably forceful, potent, and cohesive effort all the same. While arguably short of the sky-high marks set on previous endeavors, great is a nonetheless Daisy is a nonetheless great album and a compelling addition to an already devastating discography. Whew, where's they no good? Songs on this album include Vice's Bed at the bottom, Gasoline, You Stole, Be Gone, Sink, Bought a Bride, Daisy, In a Jar, in the finale, Noro. What else did you have to say about Daisy, Josh? Daisy.
Two things. So
Number one. Number
on
one.
on Be Gone, were you as angry and wanted to punch your radio as much as I did during that?
That's one of those songs where I'm just like, throw away,
Like,
skip on to sync.
what is the
Give me,
point?
give me right into that boom. Don't
Like
go
the
down.
whole thing is just it's so annoying. Um, yeah, sync is really great. Something weird.
Hey, they should have Dave Matthews do that. Now that would be funny.
That would be funny.
That would be funny.
Um, Something that I thought about this morning listening to this album was how a lot of the time, especially on the back half of the album when he's singing, it sounds like the way Dallas Taylor sings on the new, like on like Mailing 4.
Like what?
Like the song that pops into my head from Maylene that sounds like some of the stuff he does is the one that starts with like into the night, burning so
Into
bright. Yeah. But
the
it sounds a lot like some of the vocal stuff that he's doing on the back half of
Okay.
the album here.
Okay. Okay.
So
Okay. We'll have to
I
listen
thought
to
that was
that the
interesting.
second half of the album with that in mind.
Yeah.
Dallas Taylor, Dallas Taylor, Dallas Taylor on the fourth album, Dallas
They would
Taylor
have
on the
been
fourth album.
relatively close together in time. This was
Yeah, this is
2009.
nine,
Was
2011.
410, 11?
No,
Okay.
11. Yeah, yeah, because I had just gotten out of high school. Ah, simpler times.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Yeah, that one. Yeah, I don't know if I wanted to punch my radio, but I wanted to do something bad.
so
Back to
is
your
the
original
first
point there.
time, because there's two times you hear this. Is the first time you hear that sound clip at the beginning of Daisy, um, that's the first time, right?
The oh the Yeah, as far as I remember, because I think the other thing that they were talking about, which is what they say at the beginning of Vice, isn't there another one? There's another one at
It's
the beginning
different.
of the
It's
album, isn't there?
different.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. Then yeah, I think that's the only time that it was played, if I remember correctly. Why is
Okay, so it
that?
gets played at the beginning of Daisy. It gets played
Right.
again, but I don't remember if it's at like before this album is over or if it's sometime at the beginning of the next album. And it changes.
Oh, yeah, isn't it on science fiction? Like in one of those like later songs, I feel like.
Okay. Yeah, but
I
it's
think
like
it's on like this
changed.
yeah, I think it's on like the second half of science fiction, maybe. I can't remember off the top of my head now.
Okay, yeah, I just remember hearing that and being like, "Oh, they used that clip again."
Oh, yeah. We didn't
Which I
use it
don't know
enough.
how I feel about that. If it's a reprising riff, I really like that. But a reprising sound clip, I don't know about that.
Yeah, well, but
It would have to
what
be like, okay, so what is the Chariot song off of Long Live? I think it's the first track, and it does that like transition,
Mm. It's the
where
yeah, I know what you're talking about. It's the third song on Long Live, and they used it
okay,
again on like the sixth or seventh song on One Wing. I know what you're talking about.
and it's the Atlanta
The
clip,
Atlanta
right?
song. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, okay, yeah. See that I'm into, but that's also just like a really quick like snippet, you know?
Well, and then on top of that, it's like it's not even like the same. It's not the same part. It's like it's two different parts of the song that they use.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm trying to look. I'm looking through some lyrics, trying to see if I can find it on science fiction. I don't see it. I swore it was on science fiction.
Me too.
Hmm. Oh well. Did you
Yeah,
make your second point yet?
it was the Maylene comparison.
Oh, I didn't get to do my number two. I didn't get to go number two, bro. Yeah, welcome to the History of Course podcast. We're just making potty jokes. Already. Yeah, it's this is one where we're both the same in the same boat. I feel like where we don't love it, but we don't hate it. We're right there in the middle. And it's because of songs like Be Gone that ruin it for us. But then it's songs like Sink and At the Bottom that do it for us. What'd you think of I lost my train of thought. I honestly have no clue where I was going with that one. You got anything else for Daisy?
Um,
Or you made your 2 points?
nope. Yeah, I think that's
Don't have a
yeah,
third point.
that's it. Nope.
Oh, is there a song besides Be Gone that you don't like? Is there another one like Be Gone that makes you want to punch your radio?
That's the only one on this one.
Yeah.
On science fiction, I I hate when people put their kids on a song. I hate it. And it's like become a trend for like rappers now too. And I cannot stand it. Drives me insane. I don't want to hear your kid sing. Your kid sucks at singing.
Ooh.
I don't want to hear your kid sing. I don't want to hear your kid tell a story. I don't
Mm.
want to hear any of that shit.
You're not gonna like the last two Manchester Orchestra albums then.
Yeah, I don't want to hear that shit.
His kids are all over those.
No. No, no,
And
no.
I'm with you. I'm like, come
Yeah.
on, man. Oh, they're so cute. No, they're
Don't
not.
care.
Don't care. Go show your wallet photos to somebody else. Yeah. Alrighty, moving on. In
Yep.
support of the
It's
let's move on. In support of another in support of the what? I have no clue what I did here with my notes. I went on tour.
oh good.
Oh, I think okay, I think this is what happened. I think I got auto-corrected here. In support of the album, the band would tour with Coheed and Cambria, Manchester
Read
Orchestra. Huh?
read it the way it autocorrected.
In support of the another band would tour with
Nope, that's
That
what it
makes no
is.
sense. In support of the album, the band would tour with Coheed and Cambria, Manchester Orchestra, Thrice, and Glassjaw. Really not a bad lineup. Not a bad lineup at all, man. With their concert at Nassau Coliseum in New York, selling over 6,000 tickets in the first day of sales. While the band would also play Wembley Stadium in London in front of 12,500 fans. We made it. We made the big time. If you play Wembley Stadium, you've made the big time.
You've done it.
Hey, I mean, Queen played there. So, yeah. During the writing and recording process of Daisy, Lacey would question the future of the band, saying, quote, I think a lot of the record is about us trying to make decisions about how long the band should go on. When I listened back to it, I realized how many songs are about something coming to a close or knowing when it's time to put something away and move on. Here we go. This is what I'm talking about. Here we are, 2010, 8 years before they actually closed the book. Well, they're before they're forced to close the book, basically. Um, just let it be organic. I mean, at this point, it's like if you're feeling like Daisy was like the writing on the wall, then let that be the writing on the wall and just end it, you know? Just move
Wasn't
on.
this like around the time though that he started getting canceled?
No. No, no.
No?
That
It
was
wasn't until later?
that wasn't until after science fiction.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Anyway, uh pause for station identification. All right. Based off these comments, fans started to believe Daisy would be Brand New's final album. But when asked if the rumors were true, Lacey replied, quote, I don't think that will be true. It might be our last full-length record for a while, but we've got a lot of things lined up and we want to record. So I think that will happen pretty soon.
No, we're gonna drag this shit out.
Cash grab.
Cash
Plans
grab.
plans for writing hey, prediction. Cash grab tomorrow or no cash grab?
I think tomorrow's a cash grab. And like I said, I would be happy to be wrong, but I feel like tomorrow is a cash grab.
For the people that are just now tuning in, we're talking about mailing and the son's
Tomorrow
disaster.
morning,
10
tomorrow,
a 10
February the
a.m.
19th,
Eastern.
10 a.m. Mailing in the Sons of Disaster have
The
some
year
news.
of our Lord 2024. Yeah.
It has been 13 years
2011. Yep.
since the last album.
Mm-hmm.
13 years.
Yep.
13 years.
Ah, we'll see. Plans for writing their fifth album. Not mailing. That's funny how that
Mailing?
worked out there.
Mailing?
Wow. That's what a coincidence.
Mailing
No, brand
5?
new.
Oh,
Plans for writing their fifth album would begin shortly after the release of Daisy as Lacey, which is okay. I just thought of another question for you. What if, what if tomorrow it is an album announcement, right?
uh-huh.
You're gonna be, no, I don't want to say excited, but you're interested at least, right?
I'm interested.
Okay, okay. How long though before your interest just completely falls on its face when you realize that they're not going to name the album five?
It
They're
better
gonna
be
actually
called
get, they're
5.
gonna actually best that they're actually just gonna give it some like long title or something. It's gonna be
No,
called "And One Head Can Die, can Never Die."
it's got to be 5, right? They've
It
only
has to
ever
be, dude.
done,
It has to be.
yeah.
I'll be pissed. I'll be excited and interested if it's an album like announcement, but I would be flat out livid and pissed if it was titled anything other than five.
If it's called 5, I'm at least going into this optimistic.
Okay. All right, back to work here. For brand new plans for writing their
No, we're
fifth
done with them.
album.
We're moving on to Melee now.
I'm moving on. We're moving back
They're
to them.
done. Yeah, they're done, bro. Maylene might be back tomorrow. We don't know.
We're about to find out, man. We're about to
Yeah.
find out. So anyway, their fifth album, writing for it, would begin shortly after the release of Daisy, as Lacey would discuss the musical direction of their next album, saying, quote, it was, or saying it, quote, was like the end of a road.
This this
Okay.
hunk of garbage is 8 years in the making.
And that they would likely backtrack and explore an alternative direction to take their new music. At the beginning of 2010, the band's contract with Interscope Records had ended, but back in 2008, Josh, the band had started their own record label called Procrastinate Music Traders, which has released albums
Bearbot
from
Records.
artists. Huh?
Bearbot Records. If you know, you know.
Airbot.
Bearbot.
Yeah, I
Bearbot.
don't know that. Which has
Ugh.
released albums from artists like Kevin Devine, among other small acts. Ultimately, the goal would be to release your music through your own label, but at the time of creation, the band was still signed with Interscope Records. But now, Josh, free at last. We are free agents. The band could release music through their own labels, starting with a reissue of their debut album, Your Favorite Weapon, featuring new album artwork along with some bonus tracks. I believe we discussed it just a little bit in the first episode, but which album cover do you like better for your favorite weapon? The original with the chess pieces and the chess clock, or the new reissued version?
The original is more iconic, I feel
Mhm.
like. The newer one, I feel like fits more.
I think that's what I told you. I remember like looking at the two and I'm like, yeah, the new, you're telling me that's the old one? Like, that doesn't fit at all to me.
Yeah, no, the
It
new one
doesn't make
fits for
sense.
sure.
Yeah. So,
But this is
anyway.
disappointing, Curtis, because normally this is when we see a band's best work come out,
Wah,
when
wah, wah.
they've broken free of the shackles of a label.
Ah,
We're doing it ourselves. That's usually when our best work comes out.
right.
That's why, by the way, I'm also so I guess that was the big announcement from Paramore the last few days.
Mhm.
There's been a lot of talk, and they've kind of made it seem like they were just going to be breaking up. Um, they were at the end of like their contract, and now they've
Yeah.
decided that they are going to stay together. They plan to stay together for a long time, and that now begins the era of they're going to be independent,
Well, I
like
mean,
of a
like,
label.
yeah, why wouldn't you? I mean, after all these years of being on a big label, like, and you're such a big band, it's like you can easily go do your own thing at
Yeah,
your own
because
pace in your own way.
the whole point of having a label is to for the
Marketing, it's more
exposure.
marketing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for the exposure and for oh, I just had the other
Distribution.
word. Yeah, for distribution. Yeah. Um, and those are really the only things. Like that's kind of
Mhm.
it, you know. They
Right.
they they front the money like to get all this done, but if you're a huge band, you already have the money, you have the following, and you can distribute it yourself. So, especially like
Why
in the age
not?
of streaming, you know?
Yeah. Unless you're just like, I don't want to put in the work that it takes
Yeah.
myself, you know. That'd be the only thing I could think of some bands not wanting to do that.
But
But yeah,
dude,
at this
the
point, it's like, dude, if you are in that position to be able to do that on your own, go do it, man. And
and it
Paramore
is
is
a
one of those bands
small
because
amount of
that's
money compared to
yeah.
the reward.
Because whenever we talked about whenever you went to the concert and we had talked about or you had brought up there's like I don't know if they're going to be a band anymore, you know, blah blah blah. I looked it up pretty quick and figured out that it was just more of like we're just not on a record label anymore and we're just kind of like free agents. We're trying to figure out what we're doing. Um, but yeah, so it's like at that point, it's like it shouldn't even be a question. It's like, I mean, unless you just don't want to do music together anymore, it's like it's an easy answer. It's like let's continue, let's go do our own thing on our own label,
Yeah.
you know. So especially with, like I said, especially in the early years of Paramore, we're gonna get into that in the next episode. You know, when they deal with Atlantic Records, I mean, that's a big record label, you know, and having to deal with some of the politics within that, and of course the whole deal of her really being the only one that was really signed to that record label, and the band was just the kind of like there. You know, it's like you don't want that headache. So it's like
Oh, they'll
now
fuck you.
you're, yeah, big
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Grab your
They'll
ankles,
get
man.
you.
Yeah. So anyway, back to brand new. Over the next couple of years, the band would hint at entering the studio to work on their fifth album, but instead would work on personal side projects. We might be going to the studio. Who knows? Maybe.
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 What do
We
you
don't
guys say we
know.
get together in like 6 years and start hammering this
Oh,
thing out?
man. Or my favorite, when a band posts on social media, would you guys be interested in some if we went to the studio and made some new music? And be like, yeah, what do you think? That's your one job. I mean, what
And
do you want from me,
also,
bro?
because you're asking me, kind of no, because it seems like you guys don't have anything in the chamber, you know, like you weren't
Well, but
writing
not
any,
even
putting
that.
anything
It's
together
like,
yourselves, you
well,
know?
not even that. It's like, are you here to appease me as a fan, or are you doing it for yourself? Or are you making music because you want to
Yeah.
at that point, you know? Almost sounds like, hey guys, we need to pay the bills. Are you willing to pay for a new record if we go in the studio?
We're not getting the
You know.
studio time if you're not gonna buy it. Yeah.
Right. So half-hearted.
Yeah, for sure.
Uh, Making up for an unfulfilled order or offer 9 years ago, the band would send out lyric booklets for their album "The Devil and God Are Raging Inside Me" because we got nothing else to do but tease you guys with merch. If
We got
fans would
time.
send in, here you go. Here's one for you, Josh. Here's our just $1. Just send $1, and you can help send lyric booklets to a village in Africa. That's all you need, just $1, Josh. You can receive that booklet.
They didn't
That's all you
really do
need.
that.
They really did. If fans would send
What
in
the
$1,
hell? Are you
yep,
serious?
I'm serious, man. I'm serious.
What the?
Just $1 a day, Josh. Just a dollar
Not
a
let's
day.
send water or something like
Oh
that.
no, no, no,
We're
no,
gonna send a
no, no,
copy
no,
of
no, no,
our
no,
lyric
no,
booklet.
no, 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 no. That's me joking around. I thought you meant
You
no, the
said that
Africans.
they actually did
No,
that.
no, 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 no. I said here's our commercial that we can make. Just $1. Just send us $1, and we can send these starving kids in Africa a lyric booklet. That's not what they did.
Oh, okay. I thought
I
you were
got
saying they
seriously
did that.
thought. I thought you were getting mad that they were making people pay, period.
I mean, it's kind of ridiculous.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, I don't know. It's a
Water,
dollar
food.
for,
Come on,
I
man.
guess,
Vaccines?
art.
No. You need literature in your life, kids. These kids need to know how to read and speak English.
I mean, be realistic. Would you have paid a dollar for this?
No.
Well, not from brand new. Let's say, um, who has some good ones? Let's say Norma
Oh, I
Jean
I will say
put
I'd
out
be
one. Would
interested.
you
Well,
pay a dollar for that?
I would be interested to see what the inside of that lyric booklet looks like. The Devil and God.
Oh, okay.
What other pictures you got in there? Actually, I take that back. I probably don't want to see anything that's inside of there. Oh God. Never mind. I
Isn't
take
the
it
other
back.
side
Take
of
it back.
it? I think the other side of it is like the same. It's still the two.
It's like they've got their back turned, I think, don't they? And the kid's gone.
Yeah. And then she's like older.
Oh, is she older? Okay, maybe
Yeah, I
that's what
think
it is.
so.
Okay, maybe
Because I've
that's what
seen
it
a
is.
version of that,
Yeah.
but I don't think I had this album. I might have had like a burned copy of this one.
Okay. The booklet also contained a poster alluding to a release of the band's leaked demos from 2005, as well as a postcard with the words RIP 2018. See, here we go. We're already planning our demise here. That's sparked more rumors of a possible breakup of the band. Like I mentioned just before the RIP 2018, there was a poster in that booklet alluding to the release of the band's leaked demos from 2005. Well, Josh, they would release that because we got nothing else to do. Let's get a cash grab here. 2015,
Cash
they
grab.
released, yeah, they
We're breaking
released,
up next year, guys. Make sure that you come out and see us on tour because this is it.
exactly.
I'm gonna
They
sell out every
released
one of these.
a leaked demos 2006. This was made as a paid as you want um, format on for digital download on their Bandcamp.
That
This
means
album is
$0.
exactly that's what I always do.
That's
Zero
what I do.
dollars,
That's what
and
I
it's
do.
like, are you sure? And I'm like,
I'm like,
hell yeah.
I mean, it's free, right? I mean, I don't have to,
Pay
right?
what you
Yes, I'm
want. I
sure.
want to pay nothing.
I mean,
So
it's yeah.
yes,
0 is going to be good for me, I think.
yeah. Nothing more satisfying than going onto your band's favorite or your favorite band's Bandcamp page and
Not
seeing a
supporting them.
as a pay what you want fee on their album, be like, pay what I want, sweet, free download. Oh man.
Oh my
Anyway,
God.
the album is comprised of the leaked demos from their lead up to 2006's The Devil and God Are Raging Inside of Me, with some audio enhancing and reworking being done to the recordings. And throughout the years, as the band toured, they would sporadically play some of these demos on in some of their sets. Those songs include "Good Man," 1996, Brothers Song, "Missing You," "Nobody Moves," "Luca," "Fork and Knife," "Yeah," "Sewing Season," and "Battalions." Have you ever listened to those leaked demos before, Josh?
No.
Me either. Moving on. The band would also choose Cash
I
Grab.
mean,
The
they're the
band would
blueprints, Curtis. They're not meant to
they're
be listened
blueprints.
to.
Don't listen to these. But here, pay what you want to listen to them.
But you can listen to them.
But you can listen to them if you want. The band would also choose to re-release their sophomore album, Cash Grab, Deja Intendio on
Cash
vinyl,
grab. Cha-ching,
along
cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching.
along with a lyric booklet in honor of Record Store Day 2015. 2015 also brought fans a new single from the band, originally entitled Don't Feel Anything when played live, but was changed to Mene. Mene. It makes me think of Roger on American Dad. Meh.
Yeah.
Meh. Followed by another song entitled Seal to Me, while a third single entitled I Am a Nightmare came out the following year. And you know what's good about these singles, Josh?
Not
Nothing,
on the
because
album.
they actually don't make the album. It's like Alexis on Fire.
I
Oh God,
mean,
this is Alexis on Fire all over again.
isn't that better though in your eyes? Because you always say that you hate it when they throw a bunch of singles out and then that's like half the album.
Yeah, yeah,
I think singles should be just that, singles. They should just
just
be
singles,
on
just
their
a
own.
single.
But that is also why I think most singles suck because they're not a part of like the greater whole, you know? Two
I'm just not a
songs can't
fan
possibly
overall of
hold up to
singles.
10 amazing ones back to back.
Yeah, I'm just not a fan of singles. It's like do an EP then. Put these
Yes,
on
do
an
an
EP,
EP.
release the EP. How
Lazy
about that?
assholes, just do an EP.
Brand new EP. Yeah. More rumors started to swirl that the fifth album was tentatively scheduled to be released in 2016. All the while, the band would hit more of a breakup down the road in 2018 as they projected time printing shirts with the band name and the years 2000 to 2018, along with Stacy, along with Jesse Lacey, stating at a show in Salt Lake City, Utah, that quote, "We're done. Oh yeah, we're done." And it makes nights like this all the more special. So thanks for being here. You're welcome. The band would reveal that their fifth album, that had previously been promised to fans, would not be released in 2016, stating that they felt the songs on the album were incomplete and needed more time to be deemed finalized. Don't overthink it. Just don't overthink it. You know, just do it. Just do it. Release it. End
Just
our
take
misery.
it. Don't even think about it. Just take it and put it right in the trash.
In the meantime, what was that from?
I don't know.
I feel like that was from like a movie or a show. Huh. In the meantime, the band would announce that they would be celebrating the 10-year anniversary of The Devil and God Are Raging Inside Me by playing it in its entirety the remainder of the tour they were currently on. Cash Grab
Ooh, that would have been
finally on a
yes,
big good
cash
one
grab,
now.
but also I
A
would
bit
have
of a
loved
good
to
one
see
now.
that.
Finally, Josh, finally, on August 15, 2017, the band announced the arrival of their fifth album, and it would be their final album, Josh. 2017's Science Fiction from Procrastinate Music Traders Records, produced once again by Mike Sapone. It was released as a surprise to fans, being their newest album since Daisy in 2009. It's almost 10 years, Josh. 8 years to be exact. Are you a fan of a surprise album? A surprise release?
Yeah, that's good. I
I
don't
always do
like
enjoy those.
I don't like when they tell you there's an album coming and then they're like, and it's gonna be close to next year. Like, what?
Right.
Why? Like you have it like now
Surprise
though,
me.
right?
Yeah, go ahead.
It's
Nah,
done.
we're gonna dangle it out in front of you.
Yeah.
Oh,
Don't
oh,
like
you
that.
almost,
Don't like that.
oh,
No.
you almost got it. You almost got it there. Oh, yeah. Their first and only album to debut at number one on the Billboard 200, while also debuting at number one on the Billboard's Independent Albums chart, Top Alternative Albums chart, and the Top Rock Albums chart.
Why?
I almost kind of wonder if it has something to do with the surprise release because it also became the fastest #1 album, Josh, to drop out of the Billboard 200, lasting only 2 weeks on the chart.
Yep. People didn't know what they were getting into. They listened to it once through and were like, oh, okay, this is not the same, brand new.
Yeah, falling to number 97 in the second week and out of the 200 by the third week. But interesting that 2 months after its digital release, which was I think a couple of months after it first came out, it would re-enter at number 50. No, excuse me. The digital copy came out in August. The physical copy came out, I believe, in October. After the physical copy came out, it re-entered at number 50 on the Billboard 200. So that's kind of
Okay.
interesting. I don't know if
Hmm.
maybe some people just like didn't hear about it and maybe I don't know. Josh, how much did you hate the One Head Can Never Die working title?
That kind of sucked.
I think I can top that one for you, Josh. Um, Actually, it's not even the working, or it's not even an album title. The initial track list was actually going to be one long track entitled 44.5902 North 104.7146W, which are the approximate coordinates for Devil's Tower in Crook County, Wyoming.
Why?
I don't know.
See, when you
Just
start doing shit like this, that's when you need to turn off the lights. You be like, oh, actually, guys, I just realized I'm fucking crazy. Let's not
uh,
do this.
Ian Cohen of Pitchfork.com wrote in his review of the album, the quote, the 8 years of psychotic speculation ahead of brand new's forever delayed LP5 did more for the band's legacy than topping Deja Entendu or The Devil and God Are Raging Inside of Me ever could. This fan fervor lent the album a mythical status typically granted to someone who died or disappeared. Objectively, it's been 14 years since The Quiet Things That No One Ever Knows peaked at number 37 on Billboard's alternative chart. 8 since Daisy, their most recent and least loved studio album, and they've toured both clubs and festivals regularly in the time since. The excitement surrounding science fiction now that it has arrived is faintly tempered by the thudding finality of it all. Sorry, my mouse was in the way.
Yeah.
Hashtag, this is the last one. And the quote, brand new 2000 and 2008 t-shirts are a statement of fact. But to put it in its own words, LP5 was a milestone around Jesse Lacey's neck. Science fiction turns it into a monument. Ooh, a monument around your neck. Worse. Not good. Continuing on in his review, Ian states, quote, Lacey's long-lasting aversion of talking about himself and his music is completely at odds with the band's most popular work. His lyrics inspired, wow, that's, I never, anyway. His lyrics inspired thousands of live journal status updates lost to the digital dustbin of history, only to be salvaged decades later at jam-packed emo nights across the country. Given that 2003's Deja Entendu was essentially a concept record about brand new's conflict with modest fame, about how much could we trust science fiction if Lacey hadn't mentioned the rise in the expectations during his transformation from Warped Tour pinup to musical prophet? Got my Messiah impression. I think I got it nailed down. Lacey sarcastically self-harmonizes during the one song that evokes Deja Entendu in both shout-along catharsis and brand new metacriticism. The real punchline, though, is the chorus. I've got a positive message. Sometimes I can't get it out. Sure, if we could all constantly radiate love for everyone and shrug off our demons, maybe brand new wouldn't need to exist. But Lacey was built to fight through all of this to the bitter end. Science fiction doesn't provide much joy beyond its mordant humor, but using the acidic feel of old brand new as a counterpoint, it resonates longer, has more gravitas, and carries the weights of earned wisdom. The candlelit Could Never Be Heaven expresses Lacey's desire to be a reliable family man in his 40s with as much intensity as he once summoned to smite exes in Taking Back Sunday. On the dark side of the moon, an Antarctic hybrid in the water, he warns, hide your daughters. The old men say, you were young once before. You know how we get our way. Oh, God. And as the guy, oh,
Just the first
God.
part. I wish you would have just stopped at the first part where it was like Lacey Awards, hide your daughters. Like
Moving
there's
on.
just that. Just
Uh,
that.
just that. And as the guy who admitted to doing just that on Deja Entendu's dark and regrettable song, Me versus Maradona versus Elvis, he should know. Likewise, Centerpiece, same logic slash teeth, takes a stern but empathetic look at cyclical self destruction. Your friends are all imaginary. Your shrinks stop answering the phone, so you decide to make incisions at your home while you're alone. Ooh, a rhymer. While science fiction keeps the energy up with diamond cut harmonies, howled hooks, and pithy quotables, it also blooms outward with new qualities patience, long stretches of stillness, denial of easy answers, defiance. It's bookended by two of Brand New's lengthiest songs, and certainly their most disquieting. Lacey dreams of bursting into flames through all the nocturnal dubbed out opener, Lit Me Up, yet never reaches above a mutter. Very true. He closes the album with the chilling guitar figures of Batter Up, turning into white ash like Jesus Christ, dis- given a disintegration loops treatment. They produce with astonishing clarity and detail by longtime fifth member Mike Sapone, like controlled burns. The stately balladry of Waste is slowly subsumed by guitarist Vinny Accardi's molten feedback, 541 and Desert. Recall the aggressive, parched blues of PJ Harvey or Feist Pleasure. By emphasizing closely mic'd drums, live room dynamics, and grisly 3D grain, science fiction creates an unusual intimacy despite its sweeping expanse, ensuring the listeners never feels too far removed from Brand New, even if they've been projected on a festival screen. For all of Brand New's ambitions, it's hard to recall a popular rock band making an album this crafty, this finely decorated without gesturing or jet setting the what the hell is that word? I'm done with this. I'm done with this. What do you think about science fiction, Josh? I'm done with this review.
Terrible. Garbage.
Is there any
Yeah.
part of this that you like at all?
I think it was In the Water. I do kind of
Okay.
like In the Water. And there's passable tracks, like No Controls, passable, same logic, teeth, but like it never really gets off the ground. Spotify has Can't Get It Out as their most listened to on this album.
Okay.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, that's definitely one of the passable ones, but I never get to a place in this one, and I never really did in Daisy either, where I'm like, okay, like we got something here, you know?
Right.
It's just kind of a mishmash of, you
Songs.
know, yeah, songs that kind of work and songs that don't really work.
Yeah. Me personally, I like the first half of the album, and the second half drops off for me. Um, and even like in the first half, I mean, I like the first two songs. Waste is okay. It kind of drops a little bit for me, and then Could Never Be Heaven is okay too. My favorite on the album is 137 though. There's something
Okay.
about like the production on that one. It's kind of like, ooh. I don't know. It's real. I've always tried to like figure out like why, but I can't really explain it. Can't explain it, Josh. Can't explain it.
Is it the end of Batter Up where it's like somebody screaming over and over and over or laughing super creepily, maybe?
Oh, I don't know. Not that I remember. Unless I just like suppressed that from my memory. Uh, I mean, there's some like different. I think there's some like different like talking kind of in the background. No, it's more
There's
just
like a
like kind of
couple things on this
ambient
album that are just
voices.
like creepy and weird.
Yeah.
Like what was it? Was it 137 where it has the what does it say? It says something like you will remain, you will remain, you will remain. I can't or something like that. I can't remember
Oh,
what it
I
says.
don't know. I don't
But it
think that's
just repeats that thing
137.
like over and over and over.
Yeah, that's not 137.
It's really
That
creepy.
maybe that maybe at the end of is it the end of Teeth? It's not 137. 137 has it has some like recording parts in it, but they're kind of muffled and they're not like creepy or anything like that. Because 137 is about like the atomic bomb, or like Nagasawa. Um
Iwo Jima or Hiroshima?
yes. Uh, yeah, it's the atomic bomb. It's talking about the atomic bomb. And there's like some clips from like I don't know if they're real clips or they just like made them up, but it's kind of
Right.
like talking, from like those perspectives and such. But
What's the Norma Jean song that has the tornado warning in it?
oh man, that was a good one. That's a good one. It's off of Polar Similar. A thousand years a minute, I think.
Okay.
That's a good one. That's
That
a
is a
really
good
good
one.
one, man.
They also have the one that does the da 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 da.
Oh God, that is creepy.
That is really creepy.
Yeah, that is so creepy.
Yeah, the first time I was listening to that album, it was like pretty late and I was driving
Oof.
home. Yeah, I just remember being in an intersection and there was like nobody there. And then that started playing. It's like super loud, you know? Just
Right.
got it cranked.
Goof. Yeah, it's not a good way to end your career. I would have been okay with them ending on Daisy, even though it wasn't their best album, you know?
Yeah.
It just, and of course, I think the other thing too that ruins it is what's about to happen, And it's just like, this really fell flat on its face, this whole band. It's like,
I
we couldn't even, go ahead.
I get why this happens a lot. Like why a band goes out on some album that's super experimental, because it's like we said, it's over.
Right.
So
Lay your cards on the
why
table.
not just do whatever you want?
Yeah.
But also too, it's on the other side of that, it's really disappointing
Yeah.
because it feels like they just went in there, threw a bunch of crap together, and called it good, I'm sure in their minds this is some
Clean.
ultra profound thing that they put out, to close out their career.
Right. It's art,
But
Josh. You don't understand it. It's avant-garde.
I guess.
It's like doo-doo to me. All right, Josh. The inevitable has come. Here we go. The band would be joined by Kevin Devine, the band Nada Surf, and Martha on their tour to support their final album, as Lacey would confirm during a show early in that tour, quote, "We're going to be a band for about 14 more months, so thank you so much for being here tonight." But Josh, not long after that fateful night, while on tour, Lacey would be accused of sexual misconduct um, during the early and mid 2000s. Now, Lacey would issue a public apology on the band's social media page,
Oh, good.
yeah, right, prompting Kevin Devine and supporting act Martha to pull out of the upcoming tour dates, as the band would follow suit soon after canceling the remainder of their tour dates and essentially disbanding before the time they had designated to be the end of the band. Now, since that, you know, disbandment before the planned disbandment, uh, the band has released a single. It's an old kind of demo, and it was kind of it was leaked on the internet in 2018. It was entitled "Simple Man," and then recently, in 2021, John D. Esposito, the founder of the Bamboozle Music Festival, revealed that he had attempted to convince Brand New to reform and play the 2023 edition of the festival, but the band declined his request. Too soon?
Oh yeah, yeah.
I just don't feel like, I don't know. Is there a future where they could get back together after that?
I
Would you feel
mean,
comfortable?
I mean, I wouldn't necessarily. This is over. Like just after hearing science fiction and shit, like this is over.
Yeah.
Everything else aside, had none of that happened, I wouldn't want to hear more from them after this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
You had a good run.
yeah. So they
It
need to
served its
just
purpose.
be done for that,
I,
you
I
know.
feel like, yeah,
But
I
also
feel
too,
like,
like with all the other stuff, it adds another element
yeah,
into this.
right. I feel like throw that element out. We're just talking about the music now. I feel like there are bands out there, and this is one of them. I mean, if you're in a band, if you're enjoying what you're doing, you're enjoying with the being with the people that you're playing with, yeah, you want to do this for the rest of your life. You want to be in this band for the rest of your life, so on and so forth. That's the goal for everybody, right? Um, but some bands I feel like are not meant for that. And I feel like Brand New is one of those bands, and those bands are meant to be, I don't know if stepping stone is the right word or not. I mean, we talk about like the influence that came from The Devil and God. How many bands now reference that album or even Deja Entendu, you know?
Yeah.
And so it's like some of these bands is like you're not meant to be around for very long. You're meant to put out several of these albums that are going to be very, historic or influential or whatever, and then that's it. You're going to move on. You're either going to go do some other music project or you're just going to move on with your life and do something else totally different. Whereas then you have some bands that either they just don't want to quit or they are meant for the long haul. So anyway.
It helps to not, burn out musically and
Well, yeah.
also get canceled. So
Yeah, I mean that's a goal. Yeah.
it'll definitely help the longevity
All
of your band, I think. It
right,
just really
Josh.
feels like with science fiction that they're out of,
Ideas?
yeah, it
Okay.
feels like we're kind of scraping around on some stuff that we're not super familiar with because we don't really have anything else, you know, like that was us really in the chamber. Because there's little bits of old them that kind of pop up in this album. But then there's also tracks where I'm just like, man, this is all filler.
It's almost like a weird echo on your side there. That was weird.
Echo, echo.
That was really strange. Um, oh man, I had a point. It's got to be like for you, it's got to be even more disappointing like hearing science fiction, being disappointed by it or not liking it or whatever, and then knowing on top of that, you had 8 years in between to come up with something good, and this is what you came up with.
That's what I said earlier. I was
That's
like,
what like
this
makes it
hunk of
worse, I feel
garbage
like.
took
Yeah.
8 years.
It'd be one thing if it's like, hey, we put out Daisy, and then like 2 years later, this is what we came up with. And you're like, all right, come on, man. You either just like rushed it or, cash grab or whatever. But to take like 8 years, really? Come on.
And
That'd be
this
like
is
if
what we
Mike,
came up with.
right. That'd be like if My Chemical Romance came out with a new album and it was garbage after all these years, you know,
Yeah.
14 years, 14, 15 years later, after their last album. But anyway. All right, Josh, final thoughts on the band known as Brand New.
I mean, still one of my longtime favorites, you know.
Mhm.
It's a lot of nostalgia attached to Brand New.
I agree.
Um, yeah, I mean, just kind of restating, I mean, my favorite albums are going to be Your Favorite Weapon through Devil and God. Um, I think my top album artwork is going to be Devil and God.
Okay. Okay. I do enjoy an astronaut on an album. So
Okay.
I don't know what it is, but an astronaut on an album is interesting to me.
It just does it for you.
I don't know why.
Okay.
Yeah.
Noted.
Space Core, bro. A whole genre dedicated to space. Yeah.
Yeah, no,
Alrighty.
that's it. That's all I've got. I don't want to talk about Brand New anymore.
Are you excited for the next band that we're going to talk about, Josh?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I actually just re-listened to their most recent album a couple days ago.
Nice. Cool.
Um,
Is there a bad album in their discography, in your opinion?
no, I mean
Okay.
there's
What's your least favorite then?
maybe as a whole, the self-titled that they did,
Okay.
that probably would have been like
13, 14, 17, something like that. Somewhere in that range.
I was gonna say like 2012, 2013 maybe.
Okay. I was thinking it was 13. Cool. Alrighty. Yeah, we're going to talk about Paramore in the next two episodes. So get ready for that one.
Gear
Here we
up.
go. Gear up. Make sure to dye your hair orange and red if you want to. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at Is Survived by Pro for news and latest episode postings. We should do that. I'll dye my hair red if you dye your hair orange and your
Okay.
beard.
Oh God.
Anyway, make sure to follow us on Twitter at Is Survived by Pro for news and latest episode postings, not just on this show, but our other shows as well. We have the History of the Course After Hours podcast, where I sit down with my good friend and avid listener of this very podcast, Eric, and we relax. We talk about some of the bands me and Josh have already talked about in a chilled out version, the fun version. I also have the Red Right Hand podcast, which has covered all 6 seasons of BBC/Netflix hit show The Peaky Blinders. And we also have the Throne of the Dragon podcast, which so far has covered season 1, soon to be season 2 of HBO's House of the Dragon. We're so close, Josh. We're getting there.
We're so
Marching.
close. I'm so excited.
We're marching on the gates, Josh. We're marching on the gates.
I'm ready. Let's get those greens the hell out of there.
Get out of there. Also, while you're on Twitter, make sure to follow my co-host at Joshua Lynn Gary. Make sure to leave us a 5-star review and write us a comment on whatever podcast service you're using. And if you want to listen to us, see our smiling faces, head on over to our YouTube page. Just search Is Survived by Productions, and that'll have every episode from all of our shows. Subscribe to the channel, thumbs up the video. Alrighty, Josh. We'll see you in the next episode. We talk about Paramore. Goodbye. In communication.